Hi, I'm Andrew Perry, and this is the Year of Opportunities.
Has already taken more than $1.5 million from Artesia to deal with its own budget deficit. This is 1 year alone.
Recently, City Manager Maria Dadian sat down with members of the Artesia Chamber of Commerce. The purpose of this meeting was to inform chamber members about the city's declining revenues and state takeaways. Members obtained an insight as to how the city is concerned that Sacramento continues to take away funding, and the city desires to gain more control over funds that provide local services to the community.
In 2009, when we were in the preparation of the city's budget, we eliminated 30% of the staffing here at City Hall. No additional cuts can be made without affecting current levels of public safety and police services, including neighborhood patrols and crime and gang prevention programs. We also need local revenue so Artesia's streets, roads, sidewalks, and public facilities do not deteriorate and fall into despair. Artesia must have a protected and reliable source of local revenue to prevent severe cuts to vital community services. Public safety staffing levels are already at the absolute minimum recommended for a city the size of Artesia. One possible approach, among other strategies, is to update Artesia's existing but outdated business license ordinance, which has not changed for over 20 years. An update would make it more equitable for all businesses based on size and type. And this is very critical that I need you to be aware as the leaders of the business community. This is what we are considering. We are at a critical point right now where we could continue to deliver a balanced budget. However, you're going to have to start going into your general fund reserves. And if it's like you having your savings account, okay? If you don't have enough money, you're going to dive into your savings account and you're going to start spending. And there's nothing that is replenishing your savings account. So we warned the council then that if you don't start acting, that's what's going to happen. But in December, the Supreme Court ruled that the decision by the governor in abolishing redevelopment was valid, and that the issue of whether the cities could pay a ransom, that was invalidated.
So what we have here is a conundrum. The Supreme Court has given states the right to raid city coffers, especially redevelopment funds. Artesia is fulfilling its obligation to the state and is currently winding down redevelopment projects. One redevelopment project on Pioneer Boulevard has been prolonged indefinitely since the funds allocated through the Artesia Redevelopment Agency to the city were taken. The successor agency to the Artesia Redevelopment Agency is appealing to the state's Department of Finance to restore funding since the project was in place prior to the elimination of redevelopment agencies across the state. If the appeal is unsuccessful, funding to complete the project will have to be sought elsewhere.
There's a firm by the name of Lou Edwards. They did a sampling survey with our community here, the registered voters in Artesia, to find out what the citizens here cared about, what was important to them, what would they be willing to support in order to maintain those services. What the voters were asked in this survey was a question: To offset severe budget cuts, maintain essential city general services and infrastructure with funds that cannot be taken by the state, such as neighborhood police patrols and 911 rapid response times, crime and gang prevention programs, city roads, streets, sewers, and sidewalks, other general city services. Shall the city of Artesia update its existing business license tax rate schedules, not adjusted for over 20 years, making them more equitable for all businesses based on size and business type with independent annual audits. And what this pie here demonstrates is, these are the responses. We had definitely yes, 35.4%, probably yes, 25.4%, definitely no, 21.3%, don't know, 12%, and probably no, 5.9%. So as you can see, out of the total support, we have 60.8%. Of course, this represents 100% of the Artesia residents value many of the community services the city provides. However, they place an even greater appreciation on public safety services and street maintenance. The community is open to updating the existing business license tax to make it more fair and equitable to all businesses. Local control over funding for Artesia is desired. As part of the city's next steps, engaging the business community is essential, and that's why you're here. We're trying to engage you.
Artesia has come up with a plan to secure its own local funding by introducing a measure that will appear on ballots this November. This measure is simple, as it is only an update to the business license fee, which was last updated over 20 years ago. This update and any funds secured through it cannot be taken by the state. It will go directly to fund the maintenance of priority city services such as public safety and road repair, and other essential services to its businesses and residents.
If you look at the city's general fund budget, there isn't any fluff in it, and what I mean by that, it's essentially to operate and maintain just current levels. The biggest chunk in our general fund budget is law enforcement, public safety, okay? And when we say it's minimum, it is minimum. However, the way our law enforcement services are deployed is we pay for a certain level of response from the Sheriff's Department, meaning your black and white cars that are out there when people have issues, they call on the phone and you have cars roll out. In addition to that, the city also pays for the deployment of 3 special assignment personnel. That is considered the fluff. However, it's not fluff because these are the guys who interface with you on a daily basis. They come to your functions, they get to know you, they monitor the police activity that is happening, the calls, the burglaries, the break-ins. They look at it and they themselves make determinations on, whoa, this looks like this is an issue we need to get out and address. If it's burglaries, you know, vandalisms, whatever, that becomes their focus. The black and white cars are the only, they're not doing your investigative street work. They're responding to your call either while something is happening or after the fact. Okay, so that's the difference in, you know, in what we have in terms of how law enforcement is deployed here in our city. The economy is not the best in the world, as we all know, not only to business in general, but also to anyone. The economy is a nightmare. So one of the things we learned from this survey is that we need to be sensitive to our mom and pop businesses, okay? Meaning that any consideration to increasing the license tax would have to be done in a manner where we're not affecting our small mom and pop businesses. Right. And I said in here in the presentation that we want to make it fair for the larger companies. I'll give you an example. The California milk producers. Mm-hmm. In LA County, they're one of the biggest companies around, okay? And Artesia isn't even their base. okay? The city collects $400 a year from them.
Only for the city costs
When
millions
you
of dollars.
leave here, if you have a minute, you drive up there, you look at the streets, you look at the conditions, okay? We get $400 a year from them,
The city costs millions of dollars for the wearing
okay?
test.
And so when I say to make it fair, we're not saying to make it fair on the backs of the small mom and pop businesses, okay?
You know, we almost be behind 20 years. We have to raise every year something. When economy go up and down, still we have to raise it. Like if they raise the utility taxes, other taxes, state taxes. We have to do same way. So, license, business license tax. But I think business license tax you do square footage. Some bigger business have bigger square foot, they have bigger business. And a small mom and pop have smaller store, like a 10 by 10. And the other one have 100 square feet. It's not fair to small store pay more taxes and the other one don't pay, equal taxes. Like a milk company, which you have charged $1 million for them because they're using so much facility to at least help the city.
And that's why it's important for the city and the chamber and other groups to get that message out. This is
Message out. We lose
this
message
is not
out.
going to impact the smaller businesses. It's going to impact the larger. They have to understand that.
The Chamber of Commerce, those who will be most affected by this measure, understand its importance. Ultimately, it will be up to the will of the voters. Reporting from a very cosmopolitan city of Artesia, California, my name is Andrew Perry. Calife, my friends.